Everyone, my name is Jaimie Bell, and this presentation is on finding an effective intervention for increasing self-esteem in young adults transitioning out of homelessness. The focus of this presentation today is Adam, a 24-year-old lifelong resident of New York City. Adam spent 3 years homeless, and of these 3 years that he was homeless, he lived in shelters for a total of 4 months, and for the remainder of that time, he lived on the streets. A volunteer at a soup kitchen that Adam visited connected him with our organization, a mobile outreach organization that works to connect homeless individuals to life-giving resources. After we worked with him for about 3 months, he was able to secure a seasonal job in Manhattan. He stayed at a long-term shelter for 2 months once he started his new job and was able to save up money. With this, along with our organization's help, Adam was able to put down a security deposit and his first month of rent in a small apartment in East Harlem, which is relatively close to his place of work. While Adam's made great strides in the last 6 months, he's been left with emotional scars from his childhood that were only amplified by years he spent without a place to call home. He grew up in a broken home, and his father was mostly absent from his life. His mother had a substance use disorder, and they would move from apartment to apartment relatively often. He's described himself as a loner and shared that he did not have many friends growing up, which further contributed to the impacts of the trauma that he experienced. Also, because he spent 3 years living as a homeless person in a busy and affluent city, he was looked down upon every day by passersby and was often hit with a slew of beratements for simply being homeless. On occasion, he binge drinks as well. All of this has caused his self-worth to sink even lower than it had been in childhood. Although he's currently in a more stable position, he's voiced his concerns about his ability to keep his job in his apartment. He's worried that he'll self-sabotage and that he's not worthy of what he has. It's evident to the staff of our organization that while Adam does have the practical skills to maintain his current position, his lack of confidence and his low self-esteem seem to be taking a toll on his mental health. Currently, working on improving his self-esteem is my top priority. He's secured a job in an apartment, but I'd like to see him thrive, and with his self-esteem being where it's at, it's difficult for him to do so. Additionally, having a higher self-esteem may bring him into a better position for applying for a full-time position at his current place of employment or looking for another job when his seasonal job is over. Working to increase his self-worth will have many impacts on his life overall, so that is what we will focus on in treatment. The practice-related question used to guide this presentation is, what is an effective intervention for increasing self-esteem in young adults transitioning out of homelessness? To search through the literature, we used Michigan State University's online resource library. Some search terms that I used included homeless, homelessness, young adults, youth, self-esteem, self-confidence, mental health, intervention, experiment, and treatment. The search parameters included only articles that were peer-reviewed and also published after 2006, so in the last 15 years. In writing this paper, 10 studies were reviewed. Some example interventions included rent subsidies to homeless participants, strengths-based outreach and engagement interventions, scattered site housing with intensive case management, and assertive community treatment or intensive case management. These are just a few of what I found. Of these 10 studies, 1 was an unblinded controlled trial, 4 were randomized controlled trials, 1 was a mixed methods research design, 2 were quasi-experimental pre- and post-test designs, and 2 were systematic reviews. All hypotheses involved decreasing the effects of mental illness, whether that be depression or anxiety or other mental illness in individuals currently experiencing or transitioning out of homelessness. The participants in each study were located or referred through programs or services that they were already a part of. The chosen intervention for Adam after searching through these research studies was called the Identity Project. The Identity Project focused on building skills related to emotional intelligence, i.e. Self-awareness and internal motivation. The intervention took place over 6 weeks and included 2 day-long workshops and 4 group coaching sessions that lasted half a day. Though this program was designed for young people, it was not modified specifically for homeless young adults. And then in this study, 19 participants took part who had recently transitioned out of homelessness. The average age of the participants was 23 years old, and most held a high school diploma or GED. All of these criteria were similar to Adam. He was 24 years old, and he also did receive his high school diploma. In the study, there were two groups. There was an intervention group and a delayed intervention comparison group. Some of the results, the researchers reported that immediately after participating in the intervention, group 1 had statistically significant improvements in large to very large effect sizes in self-esteem and physical community integration compared to the changes in group 2, which was the delayed group, over the same period. So given this appears that it would be the best intervention for Adam because bolstering his self-esteem is exactly what we are aiming to do. As an agency, our goal is not only to see clients get back on their feet, but to also gain the skills, knowledge, and resources to thrive within their communities. This intervention seems like it could benefit Adam and other clients like Adam greatly. Additionally, he knows that his self-esteem is low, and he also understands how it is impacting his mental health and his ability to be confident in where he's at in life. So this program will align with his goals and values. To begin, we will need to formally discuss with Adam what his goals are. He's mentioned this many times in informal conversations, but we would like to sit down with him and confirm that this is what he would like to focus on within the context of our intervention. While talking to him, we would describe the intervention and the chosen study, the general demographics of the study participants, and the results of the intervention to ensure that this is something that he would like to try. Some modifications could be made to this intervention. It was conducted in a group setting. However, the group component was an important piece. Technically, it could be removed. However, after reading through the research thoroughly, it seems that he would benefit greatly from having that group aspect. If we did remove the component, we would focus mainly on skill development, but again, we would really prefer to keep the group component. In order to do so, we would recruit a few other young adults who are in a similar situation to Adam, which, given the context of our organization and the work that we do, finding other participants around his age would not be a difficult task. Having support from our organization would be crucial in gathering other individuals to take part in this intervention. So having organizational buy-in would be important. In order to implement this program, we would need training to ensure that our empowerment training is up to date, as this is a critical piece of the intervention. Additionally, we would need training on how to run the workshops and the group coaching sessions as well. During the 2 workshops, Adam and his group members would learn how to reframe their thinking surrounding homelessness and what they experienced. Part of the program is encouraging participants to come to an understanding that they should not see their past homelessness as something to be looked down upon, but rather something that shows their resilience, tenacity, and grit, which are all great characteristics for a person to have. During the group coaching sessions that come after the 2 workshops, the participants would work on practical skills, such as creating a daily schedule and routine, and they would also create a vision board depicting their ideal life to help keep them inspired and working towards their goals. With all these pieces combined, we expect to see an increase in Adam's self-esteem and his self-worth. Since we'll only be evaluating Adam in this specific situation, we would be using a single case design. And because of the issue of reliance on available subjects, we would need to use non-probability sampling. Based on our chosen intervention and our review of literature, a quasi-experimental design would be the most appropriate. There is no control group and there's no randomization. Therefore, to evaluate Adam, we will use a pre and post-test design. We've examined the literature on this intervention and have assessed its validity and reliability in order to evaluate the process. To evaluate the outcomes, Adam would be given multiple questionnaires at various points before, during, and after the intervention. These questionnaires include the Beck Hopelessness Scale, a community integration scale, an education, employment, training, income, and housing questionnaire, the Rosenberg Self-Esteem Scale, and the Social Connectedness Scale. While there are a handful of questionnaires that Adam would need to complete, none of them are extensive, so this would help with study retention. And these measures will be collected at 5 points throughout the intervention. They'd be collected at baseline before the intervention, immediately following the 6-week program, and then at 3, 6, and 9 months after implementation. We could gather data through things like client observation or things like that, but self-reported questionnaires would be the most appropriate because these dependent variables are focused specifically on Adam's internal experiences and what he's and his emotions and feelings. Because we only have one study subject, we will use descriptive statistics in our analysis. Also, to capture the results of Adam's questionnaires at each time interval, we would use graphs. Our data would be displayed in a way that would not need any information to be inferred. To disseminate the results, after we gather and synthesize the data 9 months following the conclusion of the intervention, we would show Adam his initial results compared to where he is at 9 months post-test. Furthermore, results will be shared with colleagues within our organization and with outside organizations who do similar work. Others could be looking for evidence-based practices to increase self-esteem in their young clients who have recently transitioned out of homelessness. And if this program is a success with Adam, it would further support the successfulness of this intervention. And here are my references. And thank you very much.